Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for checking out this video here on Show Style and Spirit. I am Ebony, of course. And as you can see from the title of this video, I want to talk about some more recordings that came out today from Anthony in regards to Coleslaw and her talking about her and Martell's future and how it is for him when he films for Love and Marriage Huntsville. And definitely, it's things that you can tell she kind of um, is producing in her head and fantasizing as well. And Martell feeds her all sorts of things, as we know, but it's just mumbled jumbled in her head. So let's try and dissect it like you would a frog in school. Now, before we do, I ask that you please hit the like button on this video and please subscribe to the channel. And everything that I'm saying in this video is alleged and just my opinion. Okay, so Coleslaw said that, Martell needs to quote unquote rebrand, okay? And he needs new things to talk about on television. I found this statement to be very interesting because when has Martell ever had a brand? He's been an infamous husband, an infamous cheating husband. But what has been his brand? It has not been redemption. It has not been from sin to finding God. It has not been transitioning from home building to fitness. What is his brand? He's never had a brand. But she was saying in the recordings that she wants Martell to rebrand. I think she really wants him to be this dynamic salesperson, and not everyone is going to do sales. Sales, even when you're not a reality TV star, when you are not a public figure and you are a W-2 employee, sales can burn you out then, let alone being a public person who may not be the most friendly, may not be a people person. He's not, I don't really get sales from him. That's why even when there was Holt and Holt, he was doing the building, but it was Melody who was gaining the business and meeting with people to get the contracts for Holt and Holt to build the properties. She's the sales and marketing genius. And definitely, we all know that Coleslaw is no Melody Cherie anyway, but you can tell that Ariane has not quite made that connection. And then she said that he needs new things to talk about on television. I think also for her, she claims she doesn't really check out the show, but we know that she most definitely does because we're going to get into, him fake dating Sheree and filming with other women. Coleslaw definitely does not like that. But with Coleslaw, I think that she does not like, him discussing the two of them, or what was the other thing he talks about? Melody and their child custody case and the Revenge P case. So I think that those are reminders to Ariane that she is not the wife, and she started out as the mistress, and Melody has beyond recovered from the situation. She has beyond rebounded. She is flourishing, blossoming financially, spiritually, physically, you name it. So I think that Coleslaw wants Martell to rebrand so that he can have different topics to talk about, almost as if the past never existed. Now, Coleslaw also said that the cast does not really talk to each other unless they are filming, because production wants it that way in order to have authentic, real, raw conversations on camera. What do you all think about that? I feel a couple of ways about it. In theory, I'm sure any production team of any reality TV show would love it if the cast did not really hang out ever off camera, so that whenever they interact and they're being filmed, it's as raw and authentic as possible. But if a cast never hung out off camera. When they did finally get on camera, it's going to be a bunch of, so girl, how was your summer? How was your holiday season? I saw you on your Instagram. You were at the Beyonce concert. If they like never talked, that's how that would be. And I think that that's very unrealistic. So I'm convinced that that is something that Martell told Coleslaw to explain why the cast does not F with him. I think that the cast, they do hang out together sometimes to an extent because we even see it on their social media. If they're hanging out at a bar or they're at a local event in Alabama together, we see it on their Instagrams and they will tag each other. So I am convinced that some of them definitely hang out a little bit. Sometimes we see the Fletchers at Black. So I feel like Martell has told Coleslaw that to explain why the cast does not F with him and they do not hang out with him. So she obviously has posed the question like, how come you never talk to them except for when y'all are filming? And Ariane constantly betrays herself. She does self-betrayal. When she has these questions, ask him, he gives her some bogus statement and she believes it and doesn't question it. So yeah, Coleslaw, they were friends years ago, and now they still hang out, but not with him. Even the day that Maurice got arrested, Ken and Trisha were hanging out with him. They said that on the show. So I feel like Martell just told her that so that she doesn't realize that nobody F's with him. And that's another example of him telling her whatever, and she believes it. Now, she actually talked about, a wedding and saying that she and Martell have talked marriage. This is what I think about that. She said that they have a plan. We have a plan. It's like a 2 to 3 year plan. That definitely sounds like something the ninja has told her. Like, oh yeah, like I would love to be married. I want to get some things lined up, 2 to 3 years from now. That is what he is feeding her to get her to hang on another 2 to 3 years. That is bogus. They've already been dating at least, they started filming season 1 in 2018. They've been together at least since 2017, 8 years now, but I actually believe that it's more like 10. 10 years, Coleslaw, and you're not even engaged, you're not married, and he doesn't really claim you. It's one thing, the fact that you cannot film on the show, which I am in total agreement with, but it's another thing that, he doesn't at least marry you outside of the show because love is love. And if he's filming that show to bring home some money to pay the bills, that's one thing. That's him trying to survive. But if he loves you, he would straight up marry you and make it real in the presence of God. Come on now. So I don't know what the need for a plan is. It's been this long, my goodness. He's been married before. He knows the benefits of a marriage and what that means for the family, the household. He'd be teaching Knox about getting married to a woman who has bared your child. And, he hasn't done that for you. But she was actually talking like, it's something serious. I'm sure it's serious on her end, but he was saying that to her to pacify her and to get her to waste more time with him. Now, Coleslaw actually said that Kimmy said that she would film with Ariane and that she would be Ariane's friend on the show. That definitely does not surprise me. And it just gives more and more of alleged side chick. So it's like she has a connection with Coleslaw. She has a bond. So that is pretty pathetic and sad. But again, it does not surprise me. If that is true, that is according to Ariane Kimmy. I am just repeating what she said on the recordings. Do you all think that that is a fact? Do you think that Kimmy has said that she would film with Coleslaw? What are your thoughts? Now, she also said that Marceau told Martell that he should bring Coleslaw on the show. This is contrary to what Marceau said during he and Tisha's Instagram live Sunday night. Marceau actually said, the bottom line, all these things that Martell is saying about my wife and I'm paraphrasing, of course. He said, bottom line, Martell just wants to bring Coleslaw on the show. That is what it's ultimately about. So that sounds a little contrary because he's almost saying it like he wants something that'll never happen, that should not happen. But he's telling Martell allegedly to bring her on. And she said, when she said it, she said Marceau was like, yeah, bring her on the show. We need another season. I'm really curious as to what month and year is she saying that Marceau said that to Martell, because they've already been renewed for another season. As we know, they start filming next week. So in these later seasons, especially if OWN keeps renewing Love and Marriage Huntsville, I don't think that you're needed, Coleslaw. Not when they've got Marquez, Trisha, and Ken, okay? Not when they've got Destiny and Lance. I don't think that you're needed, honey. If the show is being renewed where it stands, and you're definitely not needed. And those older seasons of LAMH, when it was really good and authentic conversations, you definitely weren't needed back then. Your name wasn't said. Your boo referred to you as a peasant. And it's nothing like Dr. Francis' reaction to when Martell called her a peasant. It's like, you really gonna say that? Just a real raw reaction. You definitely weren't even a thought back then, Coleslaw. You were sort of a thought for conversation's sakes, but you weren't needed. You were not a part of the core six. You were not the ensemble cast. And years later, where the show is now totally changed and OWN is still renewing the show, I'm just not convinced that Marceau said that. Now, if the show was, the ratings were really in the dumps to where OWN is thinking about pulling the plug, then perhaps Marceau would have said that. But OWN seems to dig it, okay? A few folks like it, OWN loves it. So I'm just not convinced that Marceau said that. What do you all think? Do you think that Marceau actually said to Martell at one time, yeah, bring her on the show? Everyone knows that, what she told Tasha K about allegedly partying with the Scotts. Then she produced the picture from Atlanta showing Maurice clear as day after he said at the reunion that he had never hung out with Coleslaw. And then Marceau immediately said, yes, I have. I feel like in addition to her not being needed, Marceau would not want all of the tea being spilled because obviously they keep secrets and they have been for years now. And she totally cannot stop those lips from flapping. She would tell it all, especially at the first sign of Marceau being a condescending jerk. Coleslaw, she won't be able to handle that. So I just don't think that he said that he wanted her to be on the show. Now, let's talk about us seeing Martell and Sheree fake dating and that picture of Trish with her thighs of steel, okay? Ariane actually said during the recordings that she would leave Martell if he filmed with another woman. I absolutely do not believe that because, again, she has stayed so many years with Martell, unmarried, had his child after allegedly having a miscarriage and a deletion of a kid. He called you a peasant on national television. How embarrassing and disrespectful. You still stayed with him. Fake dating Sheree in front of the world, appearing on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, eating meals at her home. She came over to his house on camera on Love and Marriage Huntsville, and you still stayed with him. And filming scenes with Trisha, it's looking like, just in my opinion, that Martell and Trisha may have done something back in 2020. So he disrespected you then and again now. just when you were starting to heal from that, he rips the band-aid off by filming with Trisha for an entire season. And here you are, you're still with him after all of that, saying that you're on a 2 to 3 year plan down the aisle to the altar. So I don't think you would leave him if he found yet another female to film with. And check it, I actually feel like Martell is going to find another female to film with, and you will still be right by his side or behind him, Ariane. You know you will. And she said that Martell asked her what to talk about when he films. Now, I actually feel like this is probably a thing because it's Martell. He's not the sharpest tool in the box. And definitely he and Coleslaw are on the same level. So I can totally see him asking her, what are some things that I should talk about in my scenes? And she claims that she tells him to go hard. And if you ever feel anxiety when you're with those guys, like the Scotsmen, she says, you go in and you tell their stuff. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, the fact that he would ask her for what to talk about, that is very pathetic. That is a new low. And it shows his lack of intelligence. It's supposed to be real, authentic conversation, Martell. So really the pre-production, I don't think that's it. When I think of pre-production, I think of doing research on a topic. You're writing out things that you want to say in your commentary. You create your visuals. That is the pre-production. It is not going home to your girlfriend, mistress girlfriend, and asking what you should talk about. Let the conversation flow. But, he is trying to control the narrative and do what he wants to do. So, what do you all think, whether or not you listen to the recordings firsthand, or what do you think about, her trying to pre produce? Now, you may be wondering why the picture of the Real Housewives of Atlanta is up. In her fantasizing, this is when I think she fantasizes about like the marriage thing. She obviously, I feel like she brings it up to him and he told her, oh yeah, 2 to 3 year plan. She was saying, and I don't even want Love and Marriage Huntsville. You never know, Anthony. I might be on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I'm paraphrasing. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I know everyone calls her slow slaw, saying that she is slow, but I also feel like, it's a little off as well. Just my opinion. I'm not diagnosing you, Coleslaw, and it's just a little opinion, a little commentary. But where did you get the Real Housewives of Atlanta from? You're not from Atlanta. You don't live in Atlanta. You have your online boutique, but I don't think it's popping. I don't see any public figures, singers, rappers, actors wearing things from your boutique and tagging you. I don't think you're a millionaire or even have several $100,000 in assets and cash. I just don't see why you would be on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Perhaps she meant it as a joke, but it definitely did not sound like it was a joke. So it's the level of delusion and the fantasizing. She has to bring her head out of the clouds and deal with reality. And the fact that she is fantasizing with a man like Martell and fantasizing about marriage and being on Roa, it kind of speaks to, it's almost giving a child as well, a childlike mentality, immature, not dealing with the reality. And that's giving, talk to a therapist. All right. Well, I appreciate you all watching this video. I always appreciate the support. Please hit the like button on this video and please subscribe to the channel. And I hope that you all had a wonderful Wednesday. Tomorrow is already Thursday. It seems like the week is definitely flying by. I believe, I have to double check, but I believe Keke Palmer's new film is coming out this weekend called Just One of Them Days. It's with the singer SZA. It looks like it's really funny. It looks like it's going to be like goofy funny. I don't know if it'll be like a classic like Friday, but I think I'm going to be cracking up. So I'm going to go check that out. I think I'm going to try and go kind of early because I imagine that the theater will be packed and I want to enjoy the movie. And it's about, let me explain the synopsis. So SZA and Kiki Palmer are roommates and they have to come up with the rent. The rent is due and they are struggling financially. And Kiki Palmer does have a job interview at a corporation. So it's corporate America. And SZA is saying, you still trying to go that corporate route? I told you entrepreneurship is the way to be. And so all in a day, she has to make it to her job interview. Plus they have to come up with the rent money. So, it's going to be like a little goofy funny. Now, I wanted to tell y'all, I have forgotten about this. I don't know how I forgot, but I did go see that new Nicole Kidman film, Baby Girl. I remember like a month ago when I was really sick. Oh my gosh. Um, I was saying that I wanted to go see that movie and I think it's going to be provocative. And it is very steamy. The movie opens up with Nicole Kidman and Antonio Banderas getting it in. Antonio Banderas plays her husband, very faithful husband. And she has this high sex drive. Like even once they're done, she immediately leaves their master bedroom, goes into another room and starts watching porn to, take care of herself. And, so this young man, young adult man showing interest in her, it definitely escalates. And he's into being domineering and controlling her, getting her to crawl and act like a dog. And there was that symbolism. And the movie is wild. It's very good acting, good performances. So that could be something that you may want to check out this weekend as well. So I hope that you all have a thriving Thursday. I'm sure that you will. And I will talk with you all soon. Bye.